Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So the title of today's video is about bigger steroid doses, more gains, or more problems. So before we get into that, I have to reiterate that I am not a doctor. Anything I say in these videos is for your entertainment purposes only. What you do with this information is completely and utterly up to you, and I am not advising nor condoning you to use any of the things that we discuss in any way, shape, or form. So, moving forward, let's get into this because I'm sure many of you know where I'm going with this. I see an ever-growing problem, and I have over all these years, and it just, I guess it's probably bad every single year, but I feel like the longer I do this, the worse it gets. And I would know because of how I talk to so many people daily, between questions you guys send me, emails, social media, forums, people I'm training that are involved in this that come to me. It's amazing how many people I talk to. I'm truly blessed to have, be able to converse and speak with so many different people. But one of the terrible things that I see constantly is this craziness on dosing, that you have to run this high amount. And, you got to, if you don't run something this high, you're not going to get results, and this and this and this. Look, there's some people out there that can't stand me because of my more conservative approach, more moderate dose. Oh, well, he's not big, so what does he know? Well, guess what? I'm not using anything, and I'm not trying to get big. That has nothing to do with what I know or how I teach and how I coach, because I've coached, I can't tell you how many competitors that have done extremely well, that are massive, and what my goal is or what I use in my private life has nothing to do with what I know. But whatever. To me, that's just a very, very bro-like ignorant comment. But regardless, I could care less. This isn't about me. This is about you and what you're trying to do. Okay? When you increase doses on things, there are some compounds I've discussed that need to be ran a little bit higher to get more out of them. But to fall under that belief that you've got to run testosterone 500 milligrams a week or you are not going to get gains. That's absurd, okay? Now, I don't have the biggest issue in the world running 500 milligrams of testosterone, but I see people running 750 milligrams, a gram of test, and I'm telling you, it is completely and utterly unnecessary. I don't find any scenario where that's necessary or should be done. I just don't, okay? Now, granted, there's some competitors and bodybuilders that have been doing this for a very long time and whatever, but look, how many of them are there really? Okay, we're talking about a small fraction of a percent. So I'm not really talking to that audience here. When those guys need my help and they come to me, I approach things differently. Okay, it's a totally different scenario. But look, like I said, that's a small fraction of a percent. If I was training, athletes or basketball players, don't you think my approach with an NBA player would be a little bit different than a rec player or a high school player? Yeah, it would. It'd be a lot more intense, there'd be a lot more to it, but they're professional athletes and they're a very small, tiny percent. And even with the guys I train that are bodybuilders, I still proceed with caution. I just do things a little bit differently because you have to with them, and they understand what they're doing. And, well, most of them. Some of them don't care. They just want to take everything under the sun and get big and don't care. But a lot of them do understand, and they're willing to make that sacrifice. I don't care so much to advise that, but, it's a sport, it's a different thing, and whatever. But I don't compromise my beliefs for anybody, all right? The higher you go, the more problems you're going to have, all right? Granted, you could get some more gains going higher with dosing. But, like I said, let's look at it like this. There's certain compounds, like let's take your DHT steroids. So we're looking at your Primobolan, for example, your Masteron. Those need to be ran a little bit higher, okay? They do. And I don't have any problem recommending that 500-600 mark for Primo and 600-700 for Masteron. But when we start talking about testosterone, DECA, Tren, D-ball, Anadrol, Superdrol, okay, these compounds right here, a little bit, and really with any steroid, a little bit goes a long way. But more so with these, okay? Your DECAs, your Trens, like I'm saying, you don't need to run those high. The higher you run those, the more problems you're going to have. So guess what happens when you start running higher doses and you start developing more problems? You got the chance of developing gynecomastia. You're going to shut yourself down more. You start running oral steroids too high, D-ball, things like that are toxic. Guess what? Your liver gets slammed, your kidneys, your cholesterol, your blood pressure. You start feeling lethargic. You start getting terrible pumps. You can't perform in the weight room while you're on cycle. You feel like crap. And then guess what happens? When you go to post-cycle or you come off and go back to TRT and you're having a terrible time recovering, guess what? All that time and effort and all those side effects you endured are for naught, because you're not going to keep gains. When you put yourself through that kind of torture on your body and your recovery time is that wretched and that bad, guess what? You're not keeping gains. You're not. You'd be very lucky to keep anything that you've gained at all. So you spent time, money, and most importantly, excessive amounts of strain on your body. And for what? For something so short term and so short lived that you can't even enjoy it or get any benefit out of it? Or would you rather run doses a little bit more moderate, maybe not get quite as much size or quite as much gain, but still get noticeable effects, and continue to do this long term and have some longevity? And then another thing that I try to avoid and not be Dr. Phil here, but let's be real. Let's keep it real, okay? Many of you people probably have wives, girlfriends, boyfriends if you're women, or whatever. I'm not going to get into the gender thing, but whatever. You got a significant other. All right? You've got parents. You've got family members, people that care about you. Don't you ever put them in your mind when you're putting yourself through things that maybe, just maybe, if you harm yourself, it's going to hurt them too? You know, I used to be a different guy, 10 years ago or whatever, and I didn't think about things like that. But, my mom tells me things that I've done that have hurt her and that hurt my dad. I think about things like that all I thought about was, well, that hurt me. Well, I didn't think about the effect it had on others. I think about my wife now, and if I did something like that, that's why I quit using everything, because she begged me to stop. So I did, because it's more important to me. But you've got to think about other people too. Not only the harm you're doing to yourself. Because some people out there seriously tell me, I don't care. I don't care, Gemelli. I'm going to run as high as I want because all I care about is getting big, and I don't care what it does to me. Okay, not your dad, like I always say. But I'm not going to advise that. I don't want any part of it. And that's why some people don't care for me in this regard. But hey, I sleep better at night knowing that I helped people, live longer and enhance their quality of life. But when you start doing abusive dosing, running cycles back to back, staying on all year, never coming off, running high doses. I see people telling me they run 400 and 500 milligrams of test year round. That's going to kill you, man. It might not kill you in 5 years, but it's going to take years off your life. It is. It's steroid abuse. I see people running grams of test and 900 milligrams of Deca, running Tren 20, 24 weeks. I mean, just crazy stuff, man. Stacking Tren, Halo, this and that. I mean, just DNP. I mean, I just get astounded sometimes at what I see, or people that throw me layouts and go, "What do I think?" And I'm like, I don't think you really want to know what I think. I really don't, because sometimes I get even upset. Look, I'm not telling you to run 100 milligrams of test and expect to gain 50 pounds. That's not what I'm saying. So please don't mix my words or confuse where I'm coming from here. But I am telling you that 350 milligrams of test as opposed to 500 milligrams of test on the gain side is not going to be that much of a difference. You'll get a little more on 500, but not like 10 more pounds. But the side effects will sure be different. There'll be a lot higher rate of estrogen conversion, for example. I mean, 30 milligrams to 50 milligrams of D-ball. Oh, that's a big difference when it comes to side effects. Gains, maybe, but how much? And then in the long run, what are you really getting out of that? So wouldn't it be far better to run a more moderate dose, have less side effects, be able to go harder on cycle, recover better, have less of this, this, and this to get more of this, this, and this? To me, I guess it's not rocket science. But some people don't get it. And part of it is not their fault. It's other people getting in their ear about that. And I just despise some of the things I see people tell people to do, or that's okay to do, or whatever. We're all different. I'm not always right. I can't sit here and be that clown that thinks I'm right 24/7, da-da-da-da-da. But I have a belief here that I believe is very true and very valid. Okay? And I'm not taking shots at it because I have some guys that are friends of mine on here that they know I don't agree with their dosing. They know it. We're still friends. I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but I don't agree. Okay? So everybody's different, like I said. That's for you. I just wanted to touch on this and tell you why I do what I do when I advise and where I'm coming from, and you can understand why. So take it for what it is. I guess, I can be called names or whatever by certain people for trying to keep others healthy, because trust me when I tell you, way more percent of people appreciate it than don't. So it is what it is. I just try to make sure everybody is taken care of the best I can possibly help when it comes to advice. So that being said, www.icearms.com/forums. I'm also on the Evolutionary Forum as well as the Elite Fitness Forum. Email me, Dylan@icearms.com, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli signing off.